Hi everyone. In this video I'm going to sew block number 5 for May. It's called Jacob's Ladder. If you aren't already and would like to participate, you can find the link to my Facebook group in the description under this video. So I've cut out all my pieces with the Design Space file. I've used the 2 large squares to create 4 half square triangles. So we're just going to get that cut. So what you've done is sewn a 1/4 inch seam allowance on each side of the drawn line. And we're just going to cut right along that line to create our half square triangles. There we go. And now you're just going to press these open, nice and flat. I think that the pressing part of creating your quilt block is super important. You're not going to get a really nice, clean looking finish on it if you're not pressing between each step. It's tedious, but it's really worthwhile to get a nice looking block. So I'm going to press these and cut off these little dog ears. I've got a thread in the way there. So we'll do that, and I'll have my 4 half square triangles prepared. And then for the 4 patch blocks, you have a quantity of dark and light. You want to sew them together, always pressing your seam towards the dark side. And as we've done several times in the past, we're just going to nest our seam. So you have one seam going in each direction and they're butted right up against each other, so you get a nice flat seam. You can see it finished on this one. They're going each in a separate direction. So you want to do that with all the small squares, and you're going to have a total of 5 4-patch blocks, and you want the blues or the dark and the light opposite each other when they're assembled. So I'm going to press these 2 remaining half square triangles. I'm going to sew together my last 4-patch block, and I'll be back to show you the finished product. And we'll do our layout. So we've got all our small squares sewn together. We have our 4-patch blocks and we have our half square triangles. So now we're going to do the layout. The layout to get this pattern is super important, so you want to pay really good attention to how you're laying it out before you sew your seams. You want to get that ladder effect that you're going to see. So we're going to start with a 4-patch, and we're putting our darker square facing up and towards the left. A half square triangle with the darker facing down. And another 4 square, again, the darker color facing up and towards the left. We're going to put a half square triangle first in our next row, dark side facing down, a 4-patch, dark patch facing up, and another half square triangle. We're going to turn it around and put the dark side facing up. You can start to see that ladder pattern. Now we're going with the 4-patch again, dark patch facing up and to the left. We've got a 4 square, turn it around, have the dark side facing up, and our last 4-patch with the dark side facing up and to the left. And you can see that ladder pattern. So when you see it all finished, it looks complicated, but it's not. You can do it easily. I know you can. So the next thing that we're going to do is sew our 3 squares to make 3 rows. So I'm going to sew this top square and press my seams towards the outside. My middle square, press my seams towards the middle. And the bottom square, press my seams towards the outside. That is going to make it really easy to nest. Be sure that you press between every stage. That's how you're going to get the nicest finish. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be back to show you our last step. And here we are ready to do the final step of creating this block. So we have our 3 rows done. We're now going to take our top row and reverse it, sew it onto the center row. Once again, you want to be sure that you're nesting your seams. That is why we press the seams in opposite directions. Really important to press. I'm going to put a pin in it to make sure it doesn't move. There we go. This one lines up beautifully also. And we're just going to sew straight along the top, and once again pressing the seam in one direction and pressing it really well. That's so important to how your block looks finished. So I'm going to get that done. There's our top and center row sewed together, and my seams are pressed towards the top. You can press them towards the middle if you prefer. And now we're going to do the same with the 3rd row, lining up our seams nice and straight to make sure we get those nice tight corners. Put a pin in them. And this will be our final seam. And here we are with a finished Jacob's Ladder block. All my seams are super well pressed. That's a really important thing. You want to make sure to press all your seams as you go between each step to get a really nice looking block when you're done. So I hope you're going to enjoy sewing this block number 5, Jacob's Ladder. As mentioned, if you want to join in, you can find the link for the Design Space file in our Facebook group called Stitch It with Cricut. Find that group link in the description under this video. Thank you for watching.